Well, it's another warm welcome back, all my YouTube subscribers, and thanks for joining me here once again on Classic Dirt Bike TV. Now, next up we're going to continue with the Saturday racing action from the superb two-day Motocross Grand National, held of course at the fantastic Drumlandrig Castle in Thornhill, Dumfries. Now, this particular video is part 2 of 5 videos featuring every single race over the course of the 2 days, and this next race that we will be taking in will be race 8, and it's the second race for the Twin Shock over 60s Chancers. Now, as they leave the line, it's a decent start from Peter Lightfoot on the Michael as they all make the turn and head to the far side of the track. Now, the weather at Drumlandrig continuing to improve as the Saturday's racing continues, although the forecast does certainly look better for Sunday's racing action. And as we look to the far side of the track to pick up our race leader, it does look like it's number 28. That's Stuart Miller on the Michael. Peter Lightfoot looks like he's in there in second position. Bill Brown going through on the number 53 Michael. And so as our race leaders come round to complete lap 1, it's number 66, it's Peter Lightfoot. Second is number 28, that's Stuart Miller. Third is number 21, that's Sammy Doble in third position. Fourth is David Robb there, number 171. David, of course, used to live in Scotland but now works abroad, so it's quite rare to see David racing here once again in Scotland. And so as we look towards the top of the track to pick up our race leader, it looks like it's still Peter Lightfoot, number 28. Stuart Miller going a bit wide there, seems to have some problem with his rear brake on his Michael. Third position is still number 21, that's Sammy Doble, also riding that 8-1 490 Michael. We're just coming down the hill there, that's number 53, that's Bill Brown, and behind Bill is number 27, that's Mike Doby on the Honda CR250 Red Rocket. As you can see, the conditions still quite slidey here at Drumlandrig Castle. Now, just making the turn at the top of the track is number 47, that's Steve Moore, another Scottish rider who races regularly with the Scottish Classic Motorcycle Racing Club. But here is the battle for first position in the second Twin Shock over 60s Chancers race. It's still Peter Lightfoot, your race leader, from number 21. That's Sam Doble. Both these riders, of course, riding the 1981 490 Michael. And Sammy Doble just going through there, number 21. In third position, looks like it's still 28, Stuart Miller. But it looks like it's still Peter Lightfoot, your race leader, from second position, Sam Doble. Absolutely nothing in this race, but it looks like these two riders have opened up a substantial gap on the rest of the chasing pack. And so as they begin another lap, it looks like Sam Doble has taken the advantage in this race, and Peter Lightfoot is now in second position there, number 66. But a very good race between these two riders. So your new race leader is number 21, that's Sammy Doble. Second position there is Peter Lightfoot, another very experienced twin shock racer from around the Cumbria area of the country. So it's still Sam Doble, your race leader, who is already beginning to catch up to the tail enders of the pack and beginning to start making his way through the slower riders, but it's still Sam Doble, number 21, your race leader, from number 66, Peter Lightfoot, as he makes his way to the Wall of Death turn at the far side of the track. Number 161 there is John McKell. So it was an eventual win for Sammy Doble in the Twin Shock over 60s Chancers race. Next up we have the Twin Shock over 50s class, and a packed field of riders in this particular class as they head down the hill, and it looks like it's Mark Fulton who is your race leader. Alan Bott looks like he is in second place. Third place looks like Willie Burgess from Northern Ireland. So as they come towards us, it's Mark Fulton, number 62. Second is Alan Bott, number 74. Number 2 is Willie Burgess, who goes into second position. Paul Chiappa going through there. Pete Mathia, Chris Cannon going through on the Suzuki, as the rest of the chasing pack start at lap 1. So your race leader on lap 1 is still number 62, Mark Fulton. Second is now Willie Burgess from Northern Ireland in second position. Third is Alan Bott. Fourth is number 62. Fourth is Paul Chiappa. Fifth looks like Jim Grieve, as the rest of the riders make their way up the hill. And so as we start lap 2 in this Twin Shock over 50s class race, it's still Mark Fulton who's already beginning to open a gap on second place rider Willie Burgess from Northern Ireland. Third is still Alan Bott. Our fourth place position rider here is unfortunately not listed in the racing programme, so I'm unable to identify him, but this is your second place rider, Willie Burgess from Northern Ireland on the 81 490 Michael. Alan Bott is still in there in third. Our mystery rider going through number 62 is in fourth, with Paul Chiappa in fifth position. Now other riders going through are Chris Cannon there, number 81. Number 103, that's Davy Lawson on the Maiko. But it's still the ex-Works Kawasaki rider Mark Fulton, number 62, who is your race leader now. Remember, Mark won the first moto of the day in this particular class in fine style, so he's still got a decent lead over number 2, Willie Burgess from Northern Ireland. Alan Bott is still in there in third position. Fourth position is coming up through is Paul Chiappa, who's now moved up into fourth place. That looks like Nigel Sowerby going through in the black, and number 15 is Jim Grieve. And so as the light rain begins to fall here in Drumlanrig, it's still number 62, Mark Fulton, your race leader. Mark has already opened up a huge gap to second place rider here, which should be Willie Burgess, number 2 from Northern Ireland. Third position is Alan Bott, number 74. Now fourth last time round was Paul Chiappa, so let's just see if he is still in fourth position. Yes, it's still Paul Chiappa in fourth position. Graham Smith going through on the Suzuki. So your current race leader in this Twin Shock over 50s class is still number 62, Mark Fulton on that Brian Wood owned and Stuart Bland built 500 Honda. Mark already stretching his lead, but conditions getting very sticky here at Drumlandrig. And the commentator's curse strikes again when I was just saying how good Mark was doing in this race, but he doesn't seem to have lost much track position. Willie Burgess is now your new race leader, number 2, but if Mark can get that Honda fired up, he will be able to make a chase. 4th place is still Paul Chiappa. Also coming through is number 43 there, that's Andy Mallock on the Armstrong. Nigel Sowerby going through, that looks like Chris Cannon behind him on the Suzuki. But the weather conditions here at Drumlandrig very dull, damp and bleak looking as we look at our race leader. It's number 2 Willie Burgess from Northern Ireland on the 490 Michael. Second should be Wigan rider Alan Bott, number 74 in 2nd position. Now Willie Burgess, of course, one of Ireland's top off-road racers. Not only is he quick on these twin shock bikes, Willie also races in the Evolution class and has won many trophies and accolades for his riding skills, but you can see that he's doing really well here in this twin shock over 50s class. So there's your race leader. It's number 2 Willie Burgess in 1st position. Mark Fulton has now got that bike going and is up into 2nd position as some of the other riders try and avoid the wet and sticky parts of the track. Paul Chiappa are going through once again. Number 58 is Ian Clark. Coming towards us, it looks like Chris Cannon, number 81 on the Suzuki. And so as Willie Burgess starts his last and final lap in this twin shock over 50s class race, it doesn't look like Mark is going to have enough laps to catch Willie for the win in this race, so it looks like it's going to be a comfortable run to the flag for Irishman Willie Burgess in 1st position, and it looks like Mark Fulton is going to have to settle for 2nd. So here is your race winner. Willie Burgess from Northern Ireland takes the 2nd twin shock over 50s class race of the day, with Mark Fulton in 2nd position. Okay, that now brings us to the twin shock under 50s class. This is race 10 of the Saturday, and another gaggle of very quick riders in this under 50s twin shock race. It looks like Gavin Robertson has taken the early lead in this particular race as they head up the hill, and Gavin of course won the first under 50s race of the day earlier on. And so the current running order for this second twin shock under 50s class race is almost the same as in the previous race for this class. It's Gavin Robertson on the Bill Brown 490 Michael. Second is David Houston on that Tony Kaig 500 Honda bike. Two very experienced riders on some very fast racing machinery. So here is your race leader, Gavin Robertson, coming through to start lap 2. Oh, it looks like David Houston has taken a tumble before the turn, so that's knocked David Houston out of that second position. It seems the riders falling all over the track here. It looks like things are getting very sticky here at Drumlandrig Castle. It looks like we have a rider injured on the far side of the track, and it looks like this race could be stopped. And so we're going to go to a complete restart of this twin shock under 50s class race, and once again it looks like Gavin Robertson has taken the early lead, and David Houston is very lucky here because he gets another chance to get back into this race after his tumble at the start line. But it looks like Gavin Robertson is your race leader, number 147. So we're just going to try and pick up our race leaders once again as the rest of the pack try and negotiate the UFO banner turn at the bottom of the track. But it's still Gavin Robertson coming towards us, number 147, who is your race leader. Second is David Houston, who has picked himself up after that slide at the start line, and quite lucky to get back into this race because it's a complete restart. So it's still number 147, Gavin Robertson, on the Bill Brown sponsored 490 Michael. So as they come towards us to complete yet another lap, it's the man from Rosyth in Fife, Gavin Robertson, in first position. David Houston is there in second. That rider, I'm sorry, is not in the race programme. It's getting increasingly harder to identify the riders with the mud on their number plates, but we'll do our best as we catch up with some of the riders. Now number 412 coming towards us there, that's Dominic Bratt on the big XR 500 Honda. But as you can see, conditions not really improving that much here at Drumlandig Castle, but nevertheless the racing is still very good. Here is Gavin Robertson, your race leader. Second is still David Houston in second position. That third place rider is still unfortunately unable to identify, as he's not listed in the racing programme. So here he is, your race leader. It's number 147, Gavin Robertson, ex-British Evolution bike champion a few years back, and of course Gavin doesn't have so much time now to race bikes, as he started up his own business building and fitting luxury kitchens. So Gavin doesn't have the same amount of time now for riding bikes, so as you can see, when he does ride them, he's extremely quick. As I mentioned, I will be covering each and every race from this two-day event here at Drumlanrig Castle, so look out for the following videos that will be being posted on my YouTube channel. Now just crossing the finish line, sorry, on the left hand side, that's number 818, that's Lewis Hart on the 250 Suzuki, just one of the many Suzuki bikes that Lewis brings to these events. So here is your race leader. It's still Gavin Robertson, number 147 on the Bill Brown 1981 490 Michael, and as I mentioned before, this is the first time that Gavin has ever slung his leg over a twin shock race bike, so he does give you the impression that he's been racing these bikes for a long time. Number 25 there, that's Craig Smith from Dunfermline. Craig is a gas fitter with Edinburgh Council, but in his spare time, as you can see, he just loves riding these old twin shock Michaels. Now also coming towards us is number treble 3, that's Lee Bateman on the big XR 500 Honda 4-stroke bike from 1982. Another good rider, Lee Bateman. But here's our race leader on the left hand side. It's number 147, Gavin Robertson. Looks like he's heading towards his second win of the day. on this 490 Michael. Gavin looking really strong in this second Twin Shock under 50s class race. And so as we look towards our race leader 147, we're just waiting on Gavin Robertson starting his last and final lap of this Twin Shock under 50s class race, and Gavin looks like he's going to be unchallenged right to the checkered flag. So as he crosses the line to start his last and final lap, it's number 147, the man from Rosyth in Fife. That's Gavin Robertson. But quite a decent crowd as well here at Drumlandrig Castle, and over the course of the 2 days there was a substantial amount of spectators coming to witness this spectacle here in the beautiful grounds of Drumlandrig Castle. Now here is your race leader heading towards the finish line in the Twin Shock under 50s at race 10. Looks like it's going to be an easy run to the checkered flag for number 147, Gavin Robertson. And so there you have it, that's a win for number 147 in race 10, the Twin Shock under 50s. There is your race winner, Gavin Robertson on the Bill Brown sponsored Michael. Okay, next up is a change of format for the second part of the Saturday's race programme, and this next race is the first of the team races, which is the pre-1968 team race. Now basically you now have teams of 4 riders, so instead of racing for your own personal points and prestige, you now race as part of a 4-man team. And as the pre-68 team race gets underway, it looks like one of the Japs has taken an early lead. It looks like John Griffiths on the Jap. Second looks like Liston Bell. Third I think is Adrian Lappin. Now we have 8 separate teams racing in these team races. We have the AMD Motorsport team, the Joe Maxwell Engineering team, Jap Northern Ireland, the 4 Bangers, Piston Broke, the 3L Racing team, the Thistles, and the Scotland A team. But it looks like for Team Jap Northern Ireland, it looks like John Griffiths is your race leader with the early lead. Liston Bell is in second position. Now Liston Bell of course is racing for the team Piston Broke, along with Keith Barnes, Ian Stainton and his brother Lewis Bell. But it looks like your leader is still John Griffiths for the team Jap Northern Ireland, and John his other teammates are of course Adrian Lappin, Harry Stitt and James Thompson. This John Griffiths Jap machine is of course just one of about 6 Rickman Japs that Cecil Pearson has brought over from Northern Ireland. And just coming through is Dougie Meek, number 45 on the Scotland A team. Number 12, that's Barry McKee. He is riding for the team JME Engineering. And Barry McKee has just been passed by number 77 on the BSA. That's David Wilson riding for the team 3L Racing. So these team events are not really based on who is first to cross the line. It's much more important to get yourself and the rest of your teammates safely across the line to pick up valuable points. But it looks like it's still John Griffiths, your race leader from number 98 at Liston Bell. Number 454 there, that's Peter Hollinshead. He's riding for the team JME Engineering. Peter riding that lovely SRM BSA. Peter Hollinshead is from, of course, Nantwich in the UK, and Peter is very quick on this old 1957 SRM BSA bike. A very quick rider on a nice old vintage 4-stroke. Number 31 there, that's Pierre Dihan from France, who is riding for the AMD Motorsports team. Pierre, of course, made that quite a long journey from France into Scotland to take part in this Drumlandig Castle 2-day event. Number 44 there, that's Adrian Lappin on the Cecil Pearson Jap. Looks like Adrian's got a transmission problem of some kind here. Looks like he's still revving the bike to keep it going, but looks like it could be a possible clutch or transmission problem as he heads back down the hill. But these 1930s John Alfred Prestwich engines are very quick on these kind of tracks, but it looks like Adrian has a clutch or certainly a transmission problem of some kind. And so as we look at Barry McKee heading up the hill, that's the first of the team races. That's the pre-1968s. Okay, our second team race is a pre-1975 class, and we'll just take a look at some of the riders there. Number 24 is Derek Faulds, number 20 is Stuart Roden, number 32 that's Andy Dykes, number 125 that's Ian Stainton on the CCM. Next to Ian we have number 55, that's Keith Barnes on the Clues Stroker, as these riders get ready to line up for this second team race in the pre-1975 class. It looks like Adrian Lappin is still trying to coast that old Jap across the finish line to gain those valuable team points. So well done to Adrian for bringing the old Jap home. Okay, as we get underway with the second of the team races, this is the pre-1975 class as they leave the line and head into turn 1. Okay, as we look to the far side of the track to pick up our race leader, it's number 26, James Thompson on the Cecil Pearson Jap. James, of course, riding for the Team Jap Northern Ireland. And running in second position is local man, that's Scott Maxwell on that very fast CCM bike. So as we wait for our race leaders to cross the line, it's still James Thompson, number 26, riding for the Team Jap Northern Ireland. Second is Scott Maxwell on the JME Engineering team bike. Remember, it's more important to get all of your team members across the line safely and gain valuable points rather than being the first rider to cross the line. This is, of course, an aggregate of 4 team races, that you will see here at Drumlandig this weekend. And just coming into view is number 24, that's Derek Faulds, who is riding for the Team AMD Motorsports race team. And so as we pick up our race leaders once again, it's still James Thompson for the Team Jap Northern Ireland, racing against Scott Maxwell, who is riding for the JME Engineering racing team. Two very talented riders here on two very quick classic race machines. Now the Team Jap Northern Ireland are of course consisting of Adrian Lappin, John Griffiths, Harry Stitt, and this man here, number 26, James Thompson. Scott Maxwell is still hounding James Thompson on that Jap, so these big four-stroke single machines ideally suited to these sticky conditions here at Drumlandrig. Going through there is Harry Stitt, also one of the Team Jap Northern Ireland riders. Coming towards us, that's Archie Baird. Also going through, we see Derek McCauley there, Keith Barnes. Some very quick riders in this pre-1975 team race. Number 159, that's Paul Mollett on the CZ. But at the front it's still James Thompson on the Cecil Pearson Team Jap Northern Ireland bike, who is your race leader, but has just been passed now by Scott Maxwell on that big 600cc Alan Clues race bike. So it's now Scott Maxwell who is beginning to open up a gap to James Thompson. So Scott Maxwell is absolutely flying on that big four-stroke CCM. Looks like Stuart Roden has retired from this race. I just see him parked trackside at the bottom of the wooded section, but here is your race leader, 58. It's Scott Maxwell on the JME Engineering bike. Second is James Thompson on the Cecil Pearson Team Jap Northern Ireland bike. Third is Harry Stitt, also riding a 500cc Jap bike. Also coming through number 180, that's Archie Baird on the Team AMD Motorsports bike, as the rest of the chasing pack make their way through to complete another lap. Number 293 there is Andrew King on the Leslie Calderwood CCM. As the remaining riders in this pre-1975 class team race cross the line, looks like Derek Faulds, number 24 there on the Bultaco, has some kind of mechanical issue. But here is your race leader, it's number 58, Scott Maxwell for the Team JME Engineering. But conditions still pretty good here at Drumlandrig Castle for this two-day scramble event. Now just coming towards us, it's number 3, that's Tommy Anderson on the Husqvarna, and Tommy's riding for the Scotland A-team. Now just coming towards us, it's number 80, that's Andy Alston on his 250 Honda, but it's a win in this pre-1975 team race for number 58, that's Scott Maxwell. Okay, next up we move on to our Twin Shock over 50s team race. Now the same format as before, every rider is running as part of a racing team of 4 riders. Now we're looking at number 62 there, Mark Fulton. You may remember Mark won the first 2 races in the singles over 50s race. Number 2 there is Northern Irishman Willie Burgess, so there should be some good racing between these guys as our race starter Darren Hudson takes up position. We're just waiting on that gate to drop. So as they leave the line, it's a cracking start by Northern Ireland rider Willie Burgess, number 2 there on the 490 Michael. Mark Fulton is in second position as all the Twin Shock over 50s riders make their way up the hill to turn 3. And so as we pick up our race leaders at the far side of the track, it's still number 62, that's Mark Fulton. Second is Willie Burgess. Willie Burgess, of course, won one of the races in the Twin Shock over 50s due to Mark having that slide off his machine just crossing the start and finish line. But this looks like it could be a good battle between these two very talented and very quick riders. So as our race leader comes round to start lap 2, it's number 62 Mark Fulton in first position, second Willie Burgess. Now this rider coming towards us, number 62, is not listed in the racing programme, so I can't identify him. Fourth position there is Paul Chiappa, the multiple Scottish Twin Shock champion. Number 81 is Chris Cannon, number 18 is Jim Colligan. As you can see, some of these riders slipping and sliding into these corners, but conditions still very good for this type of classic motocross racing. But thankfully the rain thus far has stayed away for this Saturday's racing programme. Number 27 there, that's Mike Doby on the CR250 Honda. So here is your race leader once again. It's 62 Mark Fulton on the Stuart Bland built and Brian Wood owned 500 Honda. Willie Burgess is in second position on the 490 Michael. Two very talented riders these. Number 1 going through is Paul Chiappa. There is that number 62 again, and I'm sorry I'm unable to identify that rider. 81 is Chris Cannon. Number 18 coming towards us is Jim Colligan on the 490 Michael. Jim doing very well in these quite tricky conditions here at Drumlandrig Castle. Number 39 just coming down the hill there, that's Robert Smith, another very good Michael rider. Robert's been riding these 81 490 Michaels for many years. And so we're looking to pick up our race leaders again. It's still Mark Fulton who is your race leader in this Twin Shock over 50s class team race. So it's Mark Fulton in first position. Second is still digging in there, Northern Irishman Willie Burgess. It's also quite amazing to comprehend that we're actually racing these old classic and Twin Shock race bikes in the grounds of one of Scotland's most historic castles. It's quite akin to taking a motocross bike onto a golf course really, and it's quite amazing that we are even allowed to put a motorcycle, let alone one of these old dirt bike scramblers, on the grounds of this historic monument. But here is your race leader. It's number 62 Mark Fulton. Mark, of course, an ex-Kawasaki works rider, and he even had a Kawasaki race bike named after him, and I think it was a 125 and it was called the Mark Fulton replica. And very quick rider, Mark, who is vastly experienced on these motocross machines. Second is still Willie Burgess from Northern Ireland. As we look up the hill, that's number 47, that's Steve Moore, who is just going to be passed by multiple Scottish Twin Shock racing champion Paul Chiappa. I think he's won the Scottish Championship about 17 times as far as I know, and a very well known name in the UK in these Twin Shock racing circles. Now, myself personally, I've followed Paul's racing career for many years, ever since he started racing BSA Bantams with the Scottish Formula Bantam Club when he was 11 years old, and Paul has a very wide experience of racing these old dirt bikes. So here is your race leader. It's still 62, Mark Fulton, on the Brian Wood owned Honda 500 bike. Now Mark, of course, has raced with the cream of the motocross world in his racing career, and people will never forget that 10-lap race that he had with Georges Jobet, when both riders changed the lead time and time again in a big 10-lap thriller for only Georges Jobet to pass Mark on the very last lap. So people may remember that particular race. So here is your second place rider. It's still Willie Burgess from Northern Ireland, who is still digging in there, trying to make up ground on Mark Fulton in first position. Now Paul Chiappa could be your third placed position rider at this point. Just behind Paul there is number 81. That's Chris Cannon on his Suzuki. Chris, a very good rider once again, and absolutely loves riding these Japanese Suzuki machines. And so as our race leader heads up the hill on his last and final lap, just coming through to pass number 18, Jim Colligan there, but this has been a good run for Mark Fulton. And so as Mark makes his way round for his last and final lap, it looks like a win for number 62, Mark Fulton. In second position will be Northern Irishman Willie Burgess. Okay, next up we move on to the last and final team race for the Saturday. This is the Twin Shock Under 50s team race. This is more or less the relative pups of this class as we look towards the finish line, waiting on the riders to leave the line. As you can see, another good array of riders for this Twin Shock Under 50s class race. It looks like David Houston has made a good start going up the hill. Looks like Alan Bott there in second position. Third place will be Gavin Robertson. So as they come towards us, it's number 148, that's David Houston first, Alan Bott who is in second, Gavin Robertson is in third, Craig Smith is in fourth position, as the rest of the pack make their way through to start lap 1. Now, as I mentioned, this will be the last of the team races for this Saturday's race programme, and this particular race will be at 12 minutes plus 1 lap. But it's still David Houston, your race leader. Second is Alan Bott from Wigan. Third is Gavin Robertson from Rosyth in Fife. Three very talented and very quick riders in this first three positions in this Twin Shock Under 50s class team race. And so as it stands, it's still David Houston on that Tony Kaig race bike. Tony Kaig, of course, a legend in his own right as well in Scottish motocross, and Tony retired some years ago and often lets David Houston out to ride his old race bike. So a very good race developing between these front two runners. And so as our race leader comes round to begin another lap, it's still number 148, David Houston on the 500 Honda. Second is Gavin Robertson. Third looks like Michael Smith from Bolton on the 1981 490 Michael. So a very good race developing already between these front three runners. But my apologies there, it looks like it's a 1983 bike that Michael Smith is actually riding in third position. racing conditions here at Drumlandrig is still very good for the Saturday. Thankfully, no rain to speak of. Just coming towards us here, number 184, that's Benjamin Hughes on his 490 Michael. So we're just looking to pick up our race leader as he comes round to complete yet another lap. Okay, first time round it was David Houston. It looks like it's Gavin Robertson now who is your race leader. Gavin Robertson there on that Bill Brown sponsored 1981 490 Michael. Gavin going very well on this twin shock race bike when you consider that this is Gavin's first ever time out on a twin shock race bike. Gavin, of course, is an ex-British Evolution class champion. Now, as it stands, we're looking at number 174. That's Alan Bott from Wigan. Alan in fourth position. Another very accomplished and very quick twin shock racer from the south of the country. But we're looking at the battle for second position between David Houston on the Honda and Michael Smith on that 490 Michael. A good battle developing between these two riders as they come round to start their last and final lap of this twin shock under 50s team race. But here is your race leader, and heading towards the checkered flag, it's number 147, Gavin Robertson, who has hardly put a foot wrong on this twin shock Michael. This bike, of course, is being loaned to Gavin from Wealthsport man Bill Brown. Okay, we're back to the individual races once again, and this is the pre-1968 and pre-1975 individual race, and this particular race will be 10 minutes plus one lap, and it's a good start by number 7 ex-CCM Works rider Jimmy Aird, who is riding his new BSA machine that he recently put together. Second looks like it's Jonathan Bethel, number 44, also riding one of those Clues CCMs. So we look to the far side of the track. It's still number 7 Jimmy Aird. Jimmy Aird, of course, has had a long career in motocross racing and has ridden for many of the big manufacturers, but will always be remembered as a CCM Works rider. Second position is still Jonathan Bethel, but it looks like a good race developing between number 7 Jimmy Aird and Jonathan Bethel. Jonathan, of course, riding that number 44 bike, which was the number of his late father John, who was, of course, another one of the big CCM legends of the day. John absolutely loved riding his CCMs and everything about them. Number 441 is Adrian Lappin on the Jap. But a good race developing at the front here between Jimmy Aird and Jonathan Bethel. I'll be betting that Jimmy Aird wish he had his Works CCM to race against Jonathan here. But Jimmy doing very well here on this BSA machine that he quite recently put together. Although it looks like Jonathan Bethel is making a move for that pole position. So your new race leader is number 44, Jonathan Bethel. Second is Jimmy Aird as both these riders head up into the wooded section of the Drumlandrig Castle racetrack. Quite a decent crowd for the Saturday here at the castle for this 2-day event. And as we look to our race leader coming through, it's still number 44, Jonathan Bethel. Second, number 7, Jimmy Aird, with that stance that he was always famous for on his race bike. Used to be called the Crab because of the way that he sat across the front of the bike. And just coming through there on the yellow helmet, that's Steve Dent, and behind Steve is number 441, that's Adrian Lappin from Northern Ireland, who looks like he's retiring one of the Cecil Pearson Jap machines. But it looks like it's going to be a win for this man here, Jonathan Bethel, as he heads on his last lap towards the checkered flag. Okay, next up we have the combined twin shock over and under 50s and 60s individual race. Of course, back to individual riders in this race, no team races this time. And as the riders leave the line, it looks like a good start by, that looks like Pete Mathia there on the Michael. Second looks like Graham Smith. I can see number 53 in there, also Bill Brown, Peter Lightfoot, as the riders negotiate turn 3. And remember, there are 2 individual classes racing together in this particular race. Of course, they will be scored separately as they cross the electronic timing lap scoring. So it's still Pete Mathia, your race leader. Second, it looks like Graham Smith on the 400 RM Suzuki bike. Conditions still good here at Drumlandrig for the Saturday race day. So here is another racing legend. Many of you will remember Pete Mathia when he raced for the Cotton EMX motocross team. An absolutely superb twin shock racing rider, and Pete is now maturing in his years, but certainly not slowing down riding these twin shock German Michaels. Now, in the past I've witnessed Pete Mathia at many of these big twin shock and vintage race events, and there's some great memories of Pete racing against Scotland's Paul Chiappa. Now here is your second placed rider. In third position there is number 350, that's Ryan Glendinning, and number 233 is Graham Smith in fourth position. But we're looking up the track to pick up some of the other riders. Going up the hill there, that's Steve Moore, and just beginning to ascend the hill on the white top is Wolfsport man Bill Brown. But here is number 47, that's Steve Moore, also riding that ever popular model, the 81 490 Michael. Bill Brown going through there, number 53, with number 193, that's Mitch Hughes. Now we're looking at Steve Moore once again, who's doing quite well on his 490 Michael. There's a big gaggle of Michael bikes here at this Drumlandrig Castle this weekend. A very popular bike for racing these twin shock race events. But here is your race leader. It's Pete Mathia, who has number 0 on his number plate. Very quick rider, Pete, and very stylish with it. Don't forget, we will have all the other racing action coming up on my YouTube channel in further videos from this 2-day event here at Drumlandrig, so please make sure that you tune in, or better still, subscribe to my channel in order that you don't miss out. So we're looking at our race leader in this combined twin shock over and under 50s and 60s race. This of course is race 16 of the Saturday, with more racing to come on the Sunday's race programme. Okay, now we're looking at number 350. That's Ryan Glendinning from Penrith in Cumbria. Ryan, another one of those very accomplished Michael twin shock racers, and I've seen Ryan racing many times in the past. So here is your race leader once again. It's Pete Mathia, who has been virtually unchallenged the entire race here in this combined race, and Pete looked like she's heading for another good race finish. And so as we look at our race leader, number 0, that's Pete Mathia, as he heads towards the finish line on his last and final lap. It's a very comfortable win for Pete Mathia on the 1981 490 Michael. Okay, moving right along. I know I did say there were no more team races, but unfortunately I've read my racing programme incorrectly, and there are more team races for this Saturday's race event. Now this is the pre-68 team race, and as they leave the line, it's a good start by Adrian Lapin on one of those Cecil Pearson Jap machines. So as we look to the far side of the track, it looks like it's John Griffiths who is your race leader, number 78, also riding one of those Cecil Pearson Jap machines. And so as we look to the far side of the track to pick up our race leader, it's number 78, that's John Griffiths, riding that 500 methanol burning Jap machine. Second is Liston Bell. Third looks like Adrian Lapin. Fourth is Peter Hollinshead. Fifth is David Wilson. Sixth looks like it's Dougie Meek on the BSA, and Barry McKee going through on that CZ BSA special. So as we wait for the riders to emerge from the wooded section, it's still John Griffiths, your race leader. Second is Liston Bell. Third should be Adrian Lapin, also riding one of those Jap machines. Fourth is Peter Hollinshead. Fifth is David Wilson from Northern Ireland. Steve Dent going through there on the yellow helmet. Dougie Meek coming through with the blue top. And number 12 just taking up the rear there is Barry McKee. So as it stands on the track, your race leader is still number 78, John Griffiths from Liston Bell in second position. Remember, this is another one of the team races, so it's quite important to try and get all of your riders across the finish line. Third place man, number 441 there, is Adrian Lapin, also riding that big single cylinder methanol burning Jap bike. And just behind Adrian is Pete Hollinshead on the SRM BSA. A quite tricky bit this for the riders to get up this not very steep hill, but it's quite rutted and very hard. And so your race leader is still number 78, John Griffiths from Northern Ireland, being chased by Liston Bell from Scotland. Two very talented young riders here, and John Griffiths going well on this big single cylinder John Alfred Prestwich machine. Rickman frame of course in this bike with the Jap engine. Looks like a good race developing between these two riders at the front. Now a few of the other riders coming towards us is number 77 there, that's David Wilson from Northern Ireland. Number 31 is Pierre Dehan from France. Number 45 there in the blue top is Dougie Meek from Scotland. Behind Dougie is Barry McKee with that CZ frame with the BSA engine in the chassis. Now although this is a team race on the track, it's still John Griffiths, your race leader. Second is still Liston Bell. Looks like Liston's still unable to get up onto terms with the torque of that big single cylinder Jap machine. John Griffiths riding superbly here in the very tricky conditions at Drumlandrig Castle. So as they come round to head up into the wooded section once again, it's still John Griffiths first with Liston Bell in second. So I do hope you're continuing to enjoy the racing footage from this Drumlandrig Castle event here at Thornhill in Dumfries in 2017. Remember, there will be more racing action from the Sunday's race event coming up soon, and further videos here on my YouTube channel. So we're just waiting on more riders coming through the wooded section. Number 71, that's Brian Aird, as the riders begin to start their last and final lap of the race. But here is your race leader as he comes round to take the checkered flag. It looks like it's going to be a very well deserved win for number 78, John Griffiths.